The PS2 era gave us three platformers that defined a generation. Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper. Three games, one console, and only one of them still feels perfect in 2026. I replayed all three back to back, no nostalgia goggles, and what I found honestly made me a little angry. Because one of those games aged like fine wine, one aged like milk, and one, yeah, I don't even know what happened. Welcome back to the Jinsei Saga. We archive the golden age of gaming, and today we're settling a 24-year-old debate. Let's talk about how these games feel, because that's what you notice first. Sly Cooper moves like he's in a heist movie. Walk Cycle has swagger, the cane twirl is slick, but the platforming kind of feels floaty. You don't stick to landings, you drift into them, and it's deliberate. It fits the character, but if you're coming from a modern game, it feels like steering a boat. Jak and Daxter feels tight. The double jump is weight, the roll jump carries momentum, and Naughty Dog understood physics in a way that modern devs still study. Moving Jak through the world feels intentional. Every input does exactly what you expect. Then there's Ratchet, the straight thing, the long jump. Going from Jak to Ratchet feels like taking weights off. Ratchet moves like a dream, fluid, responsive, and still better than most platformers in 2026. Combat in a platform is optional, unless you make it a main event. Sly's combat is there, you hit things, sometimes you sneak, the one-shot stealth kills feel satisfying for about 5 minutes, but combat is never the point in Sly. It's an obstacle between you and the next platforming section. Jak and Daxter barely has combat. The spin attack, the punch, the eco shots, it's functional. The game is about exploration and platforming. Combat, it's more like a broom, not a feature. Ratchet and Clank main combat is reward. Every planet means new guns. Every gun means a new way to delete enemies. The blaster, the glove of doom, and then the rhino. Combat in Ratchet and Clank isn't something you endure. It's something you chase. No debut platformer has ever made shooting so satisfying. A platformer lives or dies on its levels. Here's how these three stack up. Sly Cooper is stunning. The cel-shaded comic book aesthetics hasn't aged a single day. But look closer, the levels are corridors, beautiful corridors, but corridors. You move forward, you collect bottles, the level is a stage, not a playground. And then there's Jak and Daxter. The world just seems seamless. You walk from Sandowa Village to Sentinel Beach without a single loading screen. In 2001, this was pretty much black magic. Precursor Legacy is one continuous world. Vertical, varied, filled with secrets. Every area connects to another one. It feels like a place, not a level selling screen. Ratchet's planets are playgrounds. Each one has branching paths, hidden gold vaults, areas you can't reach until you come back with a new gadget. Insomniac build levels you want to wreck, not just walk through. Jak's world is a masterpiece. Ratchet's worlds are a theme park. When it comes to the visual style and the atmosphere, this is where things actually get a bit interesting. Sly Cooper is the best looking game here, not because it has more polygons, but because it made a choice. The cel-shaded comic book style means Sly 1 looks the same now as it did in 2001. Sidestepped aging entirely, it's a vibe just no other PS2 game captured. Jak 1 is charming, the environments are lush, the colors pop, but the polygon count is 2001. Jak's model is jagged, the draw distance is limited, and some textures look muddy on a modern display. It hasn't aged badly, but you can see the seams. Ratchet 1 pushed the PS2 hard. The particle effects, the glow, the mechanical detail in every weapon and ship. It's not as stylized as Sly, but for game aiming for a cartoony sci-fi look, it still lands. One more thing before the verdict. The score. A platformer's soundtrack does half the emotional work, and nobody talks about it enough. So when it comes to Sly's soundtrack, it feels like a heist movie soundtrack. Smoky jazz, big band horns, it's a perfect match for the visuals. Jak's music matches the world. Pastoral, ambient, built to disappear into the background while you explore. It's gorgeous, and it's also the score you'll remember the least. So when it comes to Ratchet and Clank, it's not just one soundtrack, it's a genre tour. Drum and bass on one planet, industrial on the next, hip-hop breakbeats on the third, and it never feels random because each style matches the planet's vibe. It's why people are still ripping this soundtrack off YouTube in 2026. So coming to the verdict, now we've got 5 categories on the board now. So Sly Cooper wins on style and takes second on music. That noir jazz score backs up the cel-shaded look perfectly, but strip away the aesthetic and it finishes dead last at movement, combat, and level design. It's a mood piece more than a platformer. Jak and Daxter ties for first. On level design, that seamless loading screen free world was a genuine technical miracle, but it's runner up in movement and combat, and dead last on both visual style and music. No category is safely its own. Ratchet and Clank, however, wins on movement, wins in combat, shares first on levels, wins on music, across 5 categories, Ratchet clears 4. 5 categories, 3 games, one debut that still feels like it released yesterday. Ratchet and Clank, the movement, the weapons, the worlds, the soundtrack. It didn't just debut strong, it just set a standard that modern platformers still chase. Jak built the world, Sly built the vibe, Ratchet built different. Now I'm interested in hearing which debut was your childhood, Jak, Ratchet, or Sly. One answer, defend it in the comments, and make sure you subscribe because part 2 is coming. The sequels, we're talking Jak 2 and 3, Ratchet and Clank going commando, up your arsenal, Sly 2 and 3. This is where things got interesting. You just scroll back to 2004. The Jinsei Saga continues.